All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here at the ESL CM Storm Arena, of course, for the European Smite Invitational. My name is Mitch, and of course, joined by the lovely Rachel. We are 3 games down, 3 games to go, and we've got a special treat coming up for you guys with both teams in the next game. Undefeated thus far. We've got Bipolar Method going up against SK Gaming, and I've got HiRezBart here from Bipolar Method for a little bit of a chat before we do start. Hello. Look, you would describe yourself, I guess, as a player, a risky player, an aggressive player. A high risk, high reward kind of play style. Tell me, how does that factor into the champions you choose and the way that your team works around you?
Well, I mainly pick for what's best for the team, what works out, what can secure the most objections. That's basically it. And you just gotta take some risks to gain some rewards. Just gotta take whatever you can.
Spot on. All right, we've got Rachel here with Smek from SK Gaming.
Sure, guys, what you might not know about Smek is he had a long and fruitful League of Legends career before you converted to Smite, and now you tell me you love this game far and away better. So what's the deal here? We have League of Legends fans in the audience that we might need to convert.
Yeah, first of all, I played League of Legends like for 3 years, but when I saw Smite, I immediately fell in love. Because like, I played World of Warcraft before, I played League of Legends, and Smite is just like the combination. I like the MOBA style, I like this gameplay. Everything is skill shot based, and this is just an awesome game. Everyone should try it out, it's free to play. Go check out smitegame.com and get the game.
Excellent. Well, do you have any words for your opponent over here?
For my opponent, for BM, you know, like, we're pretty close. We scrimmed so many times, like, those are like really friends from us. We're not like, I don't know, competitors in a specific way. But the only words I have, if I get a pentakill, I want to see Badger's tits.
Well, HiRezBart, in response, you got any trash talk maybe you want to throw Smek's way?
Oh, we're ready. Let's take it.
Well, that's pretty straightforward. Okay, Bipolar Method and SK Gaming going head-to-head in just a second. Shake the hands, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be into this one in just a moment, but we're going to pass back over to our lovely and rather amorous today casters.
Welcome back. A lot of energy.
Oh, yeah, dude, it's hype. I'm hype.
Did he call me Mount Everest, though?
Hey?
Did he call me Mount Everest?
Yeah, you're a mountain of a man.
You know,
he's like,
sounds like a compliment.
It was like we're handing it back over to Mount Everest, where we are approaching the summit here as we're going to watch Bipolar Method versus SK Gaming, ladies and gentlemen, coming up for you in just a couple of short moments. The players have to align the stars, do Santeria, whatever it is it takes to get them in the game.
Coffee.
You never know what it takes for pro gamers to actually make it into the game to play each other. But once they do, I'm sure it will be a spectacle. It is going to be the 2 undefeated teams so far in the group stage. They each have 1 win under their belt, so this one will determine really who gets to. Let's see if I can actually do the math. I think this would secure you minimum 3rd place if you have 2 wins in the group stage of 4. I think. I don't know. Life is hard, man.
My math sucks, so yeah. Honestly, I couldn't tell you.
You know, I'm tired, and
but I can guarantee
I'm excited.
The team should not look at it like that if it's true.
No, of course not.
You should get every single win possible. Not to mention, you should take the time that you're playing against each team to prepare, like to look at it and be like, okay, so they do this. You know, maybe we're going to see them again in the playoffs. So obviously, we're going to be able to look at that today.
We're taking a look here at SK. Their roster is, we'll go down actually who you see in the front of your screen. It is going to be Smek, followed by Gortak, then Sayo, Zalia, and then there in the back is the one and only Sudden Touch in terms of deep into your monitor. They are SK Gaming, and they will be representing the left side of the map. I'm sorry, the right side of the map, they will be the red team. Over on the left, you're going to be taking a look here now at the gentleman of Bipolar Method here on camera. You see on the left side of your screen, that is HiRezBart. In the middle there is the one and only Lobster. Yeah, you know, 2 very aggressive teams, 2 teams that like to... SK may be a little bit more adventurous in terms of their picks, but I'm pretty sure that we're going to see maybe the premier game of the group stage here. Let's take a look at Bipolar Method. We'll go left to right here is what's on the screen. It is HiRezBart, followed by Lobster, Mr. Badger, and in the corner there you see Young Bay, and just not pictured on screen is the one and only Spoo, who is their kind of utility solo lane player. And we have, which should be, I think what many people would consider a preview of the finals going into this. They expected these 2 teams. I mean, I think Cognitive EU is the favorite in points. They've taken down a lot of tournaments, but I think most people are certainly the fan favorites are going to be SK and BM.
Yeah, I mean, we can think back to the games you saw earlier. We've only seen 1 tier so far today, and that was in the hands of SK. And then we've only seen 1 Hades, which Spoo was playing, and I have to say, did a fantastic job. He had a phenomenal amount of gold. That last fight over at the Fire Giant was able to secure them the Giant and the win in the end. And honestly, this is going to be a good match.
There's Spoo getting his time in the sun. As we talk about his Hades play, yeah, he does play kind of that solo lane, and sometimes you see him running the support tank. Sometimes you'll see him, he's kind of always run that support role, but it kind of does it with his own style. We're taking that close-up look of Zaliya as he thinks deeply about which Hercules he's going to pick for the solo lane. He's always really liked that god. And then just over his shoulder, yeah, you saw Sayo there, but back to Lobster here, who's going to be looking for that jungle role for Team Bipolar Method. And will they be able to break this game open? What are they going to do about tier? I think that's the big outstanding question is, do they let Sayo get his hands on Thor or on Hunbots or on any of the other kind of top tier junglers like Naja, or banning out the tier or not? And one of the things that gets played an awful lot in the NA scene is Loki, who we have yet to see in either the jungle or the solo role so far in this European tournament.
Whoa, that was So what about Bacchus, though? I mean, obviously not going to be a jungler, but we've seen him I think we've seen him every single game today, and he's been quite impactful every time. He's just been the ultimate he's been using, the stun he's been using. It's been really locking teams down, applying that pressure, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Tyr get let through.
I wouldn't either.
Maybe Apollo is something that needs to be taken away or first picked.
I completely agree.
So strong all day long.
He has. He's so dominant, but teams just aren't really willing to expend the ban on him. They feel like they want to get rid of control, and here it looks like SK wants to get rid of the really, really strong solo laner gods in terms of sustain. So they're going to get rid of Hercules and Chang'e. On the other side, Bipolar Method will ban out Athena and Tyr. They don't want to give up the Athena, and they don't want Tyr to end up in Sayo's hands. So this is dangerous stuff. They're going to take Agni Ra, and this is really smart because Agni Ra considered probably currently really your kind of top two mid laners, like that pure burst damage solo lane role. Ra does a really great job with his sustain and his ability to clear waves. But so what they've done is they've kind of maybe given themselves an advantage in the mid lane, but likely you'll see SK counter by going for a dual mid lane with their range carry and support combination. And they're going to pick up that Apollo, and they're going to find a Thor as well. And that's a really, really dangerous combination when you talk about moving around the map and doing damage. Bipolar Method now threatening to pick up an On Her, which is really a pure damage selection. So they won't have the same movement. They won't have the same global presence, certainly, that so far SK has in this draft. But they're going to go for basically a full-on damage kit here, it looks like. They're going to have this Agni, who puts in tremendous amounts of burst damage in the AoE. They'll have the Ra with the sustain and burst damage of his own. On Her, that physical damage burst style god, also does quite well via his auto attacks, and Hunbots there to set it all up with that big ultimate. We saw him very instrumental in the play with Cognitive EU in the last game, setting up those big Zeus ultimates, and SK going to close it out with Poseidon Isis. So two very strong mages. They'll likely run the Poseidon mid and the Isis in the solo lane, Apollo, Bacchus, and the Thor, or maybe we'll see them switch it up yet again, and they'll run that Bacchus Apollo in the mid lane to go up against the Agni or the Ra. They have a lot of options, both of the teams do, with the two mages they've selected. They both, so we have really four of what 6 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, would have been like, they all would have only been mid picks, and now we see four top tier mid picks in this game, and the teams can really, another Hades, but they can really mix them up how they want. And it looks like, they really favor this Hades, and Hades ult on top of Hunbots' ult. If you can find a way to keep people in Hades ult, you're in a great spot.
They're like, you're pulling me in, but you're pushing me away at the same time. What do I do?
They're going to run in place is what they're going to do, Jason.
I really like the Ra, though. I don't know. I mean, we saw him last game, and just the healing he provided.
Yeah.
And the pushes
or something, I think.
Was ridiculous. Like the sustain, I mean, it even had Fire Giant at the time. You could just not do damage to them because they would be able to heal it up. And just like you said before, I mean, Agni, Ra, whenever you have Hades pull them together, they're not going to miss ultis.
Yeah,
or they shouldn't miss ultis. They should be able to hit it across multiple people, and if that happens, people are going to get shut down.
Yeah, both teams have really, really great team fight in this matchup, which is really, really impressive. They were able to put together this kind of draft. And this one is going to come down to just basically only the players' abilities to land these skill shots. I mean, you have the Poseidon Isis Bacchus combination over here for SK with the Thor to set that up. On the other side, you have Agni, Ra, Hunbots, and Hades, all with tremendous AoE presence. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to move into the game on the blue side. It is going to be SK. They are Zaliya, Sayo, Gortak, Smek, and Suntouch, and they will be fighting out of the blue side of the minimap and the bottom of your screen. On the other side of the map, we have your red team. They are Bipolar Method. That is Hi-Rock, Lobster, Badger, Youngbay, and moving out of the base already, it is going to be Mr. Spoo. And I think one here is it's probably in favor of SK. I mean, the Whirlpool on Poseidon and the Bacchus knockup is really strong. Apollo does nice auto attack damage, and Thor has his big stun, as well as the Isis puts out nice damage at level 1. So I think all things told, they are maybe a bit ahead at that level 1
And Svo, he actually put a ward down on their side, trying to guard that, well, the orange and the blue camp, obviously. Don't want to see that taken away in SK. This is exactly what they did earlier on today. They're guarding the Harpies. They want to make sure that they can be able to take this. And we might even see a little bit of action actually break out here. I think both teams are starting to fight here, Bart.
Yeah, we have Hades is going to death from below to get out of there. He's going to go ahead and recall both. You know, it's kind of like what we talked about in the last game. You know, the support tanks tend to like try to get out of the base really fast and find a very aggressive ward spot, and then use their escape mechanics to get out of there safely. So that's pretty much what we see there from Hades. But you know, that does give the gentlemen of SK, a little bit of an opportunity to kind of make some positioning improvements while they know that Hades is not going to be a threat.
Look what they're doing right now, though. They're trying to, I guess, flank these Harpies here, but there's still that ward behind them. They don't really notice it just yet. They're actually going to go back to middle. It looks like they're trying to contest these Harpies on the other side. They want to be able to stop Bipolar from being able to take this, and we could see a major team fight breaking out at level 1.
Yeah, it looks like they want to just find any fight they can. They know, or at least feel like they have that stronger early game, and they're just hunting for the kills. I'll go ahead and pop us over to the isometric view for just a moment so we can get maybe this both of the camps in shot here as we see SK now moving around, looking to put some damage on the HiRock or maybe Bay here. But no real full commitments yet. Suntouch is going to get stunned out. Hunbot's in some trouble. Going to get just away from that stun. So we will see the teams moving to lane now. One thing to note here, Agni going to pick up some free waves. Will Lobster on this play. So, you know, we'll see what he's able to do. And HiRock on this jungle role of Hunbots, you know, he starts out a little bit low, in fact, from that early harass. And the question is, will he have enough to actually take out this camp? He's sitting quite low. It looks like he's going to race it. I don't think he has it. No, HiRock, are you going to fall to neutrals? No, he's going to get away just in time, and that's going to slow him down tremendously. So we can take a look at Sayo on Thor, who did get the hand of the gods, and is going to be able to get out very, very quickly, already sitting on a red buff, going to pick up or drop the blue to the ground. Poseidon likely going to fall back, and we have the traditional mid lane matchup is going to be basically on both sides. So the long lane is going to be Poseidon Ra, which I think is maybe a bit in favor of the Ra, and then on the left side we're going to have Isis Agni in the short lane. So really what kind of traditionally would be two mid lanes in this game with the dual lane in the mid.
Yeah, and with that duo in the mid, I mean, looking at these two lineups, who do you really favor here with this whole combination going head-to-head, you know?
I think like just in general, I feel like Bipolar Method has a little bit better. I feel like Agni can do really well against Isis, and I feel like the Ra in the long lane with his, well, you know, they both kind of have these movement speed mechanics, but I feel like Ra just with the sustain will be a good match for Poseidon in the long lane. He can, you know, there's more room to kind of harass him. Ra has the slow, and he can speed himself up and put out nice damage and heal himself without committing too much. So I feel like, you know, they kind of have the best of these side lanes. The mid lane, you know, you can kind of say is a wash, but ultimately I think the thing that's going to break this game open is the fact that Sayo is off to such a fast start versus HiRock, who actually had quite a bit of trouble.
Yeah, and I really want to know how that's going to impact the rest of the game, and he's obviously level 2 right now to the level 4. No, sorry, 3 is Sayo still. I was just making sure he was still level 3. And obviously it's going to kind of cut down his gank potential. He's going to be level 5 a little bit later. He's not going to have the ultimate up as soon as Sayo. And I really wonder, can SK make use of this? Like, can they, or I mean, they obviously don't know, I don't think, since they don't have any wards down, that he had such a bad start, but maybe we might see like some early ganks come out of him. Maybe they'll try to punish Bipolar Method for that.
Yeah, I mean, they can see his level, and you know, looking at the stats here, we see the XP per minute on Sayo is about 260 versus about 120 on HiRock. Gold per minute sitting just over 100 for HiRock versus the nearly 200 for Sayo. So he's really far ahead when you start talking about individual play. Our opening, of course, here is just standard kind of starting items and boots, some pots all around, and we have the Meditation Hand of the God on Badger. This time not Spoo playing that Hades in the pure support role in the mid lane, and on the other side we have an early Beads on Suntouch, thinking that he was likely going to be going up against, I think, this on her lane. So he's going to be okay for the moment here. In a little bit of trouble is both Lobster and Zelia as they exchange back and forth, but for the moment it appears that both the teams are perfectly happy and content farming.
I kind of just realized that Spo's not on Hades.
Yeah.
He's on Ra, so he's actually going to be obviously in that side lane. And I mean, like I said before, his Hades was very strong earlier on today, and kind of sad to not see him on yet again. But I'm curious, how will he play this Ra? Because honestly, Ra and I think Anubis are two of my favorite gods so far.
Yeah. I mean, Ra really, you know, brings. Oh, we're gonna have some initiation in the mid lane. As Thor has come in, there's a Desert Fury being used by Young Baby. He's gonna fall to Sayo. Sayo is caught in Badger's ultimate, but it looks like it's not gonna be enough. They get Smet quite low, they get Sayo quite low, but they're both gonna recall the A-OK. And First Blood goes the way of SK Gaming to knock things off here, ladies and gentlemen. They have 1,000 gold and 1,000 experience lead right now, and will it be enough to snowball them into the mid game is the question. Sayo has got off to a tremendously good start, hit that level 5, got a gank with it, and that's really all you're looking for out of your Thor. Now he can just continue his snowball, and we'll see where he's going to pour it into. It's going to be that mid lane, and he's going to look to keep his farm up.
That's what we kind of expected, or we wanted to see out of Sayo. I mean, taking advantage of him hitting level 5 a little bit earlier than his or his opponent, and he obviously didn't know, but that was a great job. I mean, why would you see Suntouch pick up Spo over there in that side lane? And that's a great start for SK. 2 up now, 2-0. They have a great lead already right off the bat, 1,000 gold difference. XP difference is only 200. It did drop really quickly, but Mariko, he's going in.
HiRezBart found an angle. Here we go. They're going to put the damage out onto Zalia. Will it be enough? The ultimate comes out. Damage mitigation and the heal burst will come out in just a moment. A lot of burst damage, but it's just not enough. The meteors coming in on top of those HiRezBart auto attacks are enough, and that's really good news for the Hunbot. It's going to help him get back into this game and catch up to that Thor.
Yeah, so great game by them to pull something back in their favor now. And it looks like there was potentially something happening in middle here, but in the end, I mean, we can just look across the board. We've got currently 3,300 for Suntouch on that beside him. We have 3,300 for Sayo. We have 3,000 for Zalia. We have almost 2,000 for Smek, which I'm kind of surprised to see Smek actually not have that strong of a start so far. Yeah, he does have that 1 assist, but compared to his team, he's obviously not that high up. And then Gorthak with that 2,700 gold.
Yeah, and look at this. Look at the XP chart here. About 900 now in favor of Bipolar Method after picking up those kills and a couple of camps on the back of it. And that's a 2,000 XP swing from just about 4 minutes ago. So they've done a really nice job of bringing this one back under control. They've gotten that gold lead back under 1,000, and they're right back into this one. And that Hunbots is really starting to find some farm.
And who's more effective in these team fights, would you think, between the two junglers?
Well, you know, Thor can bring that really, really strong backline presence where you can get in, he can disrupt your mages, but I think Hunbot ultimately, with his AoE kind of fear ability that deals nice damage, has the superior team fight presence.
Yeah, because I was looking at his ultimate against the lineup he's going to be playing. It seems like, I don't know, if he wants to use it against the people who are up close, or maybe use it against the back line, and then kind of just destroy the front line of SK, and then kind of work from there. But obviously, we're going to see as time does go on. And Sayo, curious, where is he going to go with this next ultimate? Where is he going to make the big play happen? Doesn't have it up just yet.
He's just used it, actually. They missed that Agni in the left side lane. They were trying to set up a gank there. They don't convert, unfortunately, so we likely won't see him look for another one until his ultimate is up. Going to go take the XP camp and red buff on the right side of the map. The warding right now from Bipolar Method, very heavy on the right side here. They really own the only wards on the map, specifically one right here and one just on the other side of that as well. They want to keep this Ra safe. And they seem to be, kind of banking on that. They don't want to get hit by that Isis rotation from the right, and they don't want to get hit by that Thor rotation coming off the red buff either. So for right now, they're going to keep their vision up. Early item pickups. Early item pickups, we see the Ninja Tabi, the 15% cooldown reduction coming out on HiRezBart. We see early Heartseeker being worked on by Youngbei. And the EU scene, we have to see. Maybe we'll see the Stack City build where they get all 3 of the stacking items for physical damage carries. We've only really seen it played on her, but if you can get it and execute it, it's just a tremendous amount of damage.
Yeah, they're also going to find out as time does go on. And yeah, I like how you pointed out those wards that Bipolar Method had down, because if you think about it, between all the lanes, Agni has a very strong escape mechanism. Raw obviously doesn't have really anything except maybe that slow/blind to pull you in and the heal to run through, but definitely want to keep him alive. It looks like we might have a fight happen here.
Yeah, we're going to see. I'm actually watching a little bit of an attempt in the solo lane, but yeah, we'll head back over to the team fight now. It looks like a disengage. Suntouch got out of there with the Agni, with the Apollo, and they're perfectly happy to fall back. Yeah, in the meantime, as you saw at the beginning of that, Suntouch put out an ultimate on to the Lobster's Agni here, and was unable to convert there. So a lot used by both of the teams there in that engagement, but I think for the meantime, it seems to be SK coming out ahead.
Even though he didn't convert and get the kill, I still think that was actually really good by him, because if you think about it, they're both mages. They both really need those levels, and needs to be able to deny a little bit from Agni and hopefully be able to come into the lane this next time and maybe pick up that kill. But you do obviously see some turrets finally taking some damage. Not much done overall. I think SK's probably done more than currently Bipolar. And right now, as you can see, the experience, it's pretty much evening out. The gold is still staying in favor of SK, but that is obviously because of that extra kill.
That's right. And you look over the last couple of minutes, it's climbed a little bit for them. It seems like these stalemates are just a little bit in their favor. Sayo a little bit more efficient at farming the jungle than HiRezBart at the moment, it appears. And so he's able to stay just ever so slightly ahead. And it's looked pretty good so far. Isis on Zalia is sitting at a nice farm himself. Does have that blue buff, not even going to watch, and turns his back to the explosion there. Does have the blue buff, does have the ability to spam out really anything he wants, but you can see once again that they've replaced these wards here has Bipolar Method. Badger making sure that and Spoo, they really want to make sure that Youngbei can get off to a good start with this on her. And so far, unfortunately for them, his gold per minute is sitting at about 200, going up against 316 on Suntouch and 290 on Sayo. That is going to be some trouble for the on her. If he doesn't get, his levels up as well, sitting on 550 XP per minute is quite nice for him. But, he's at the top of the XP, so he has the levels. He should have the health to deal with it, but his damage just isn't going to be there with that gold farm.
It's also a little bit weird looking at how much attention that Spo's gotten with his Raw. In terms of at least wards coming down, he has all his protection, but if you look at his total gold, he's actually behind to his opponent in that lane. So even with the protection, he's still kind of playing a little bit passive, still not farming up as well, and he's going to be able to turn it around because that burst, like you're saying before, out of him and Agni, they're really going to really need to depend on that in these team fights. But we do see a fight breaking out already.
Yeah, they're at the gold harpies once again. They found Badger. He's going to use the ultimate. The Hunbot's ultimate on top of it to keep them in there. A lot of damage coming out. Badger trying to get out. Lobster will fall, or actually will pick up Suntouch in the back of that fight. We didn't catch that. Thor going to ult in as well. Zalia will pick up HiRock. Looking likely to fall here is Badger, no, but it's a nice death from below. However, Youngbei rotates in, finds a kill onto Sayo. They want to look for the Isis as well. This has been a really back and forth fight, 2 for 2 so far. Ra wants to stay in there, wants to find a kill into Gortok, and he will indeed. Spoo gets yet another kill, gets stunned out there, does Lobster, as Isis and Apollo look to fall back. Apollo, playing that pretty bravely. They're staying in there in that mid lane, knowing that the Ra and on her combination were there. I mean, that slow into stun could have even done him in, but I think that one does go ever so slightly in favor of Bipolar Method. And you see those little upticks. They did lose, a 3 for 2 there. So they would have maybe liked to get out a little bit better, but they did pick up a kill onto Sayo, which is going to help slow him down.
And we haven't talked about this just yet, but look at the two teams' compositions. Who's kind of stronger earlier, who's stronger mid game, and who has that team fight presence? And as we've already seen, I guess the team fight presence differs depending on where you fight.
That's a really good point, yeah. If they take engagements in the jungle, I think it goes in favor of Bipolar Method. If SK is initiating, I think that they have the advantage. If they get that Thor, Isis, and Poseidon Kraken combination going with the Bacchus and Toxic on top of that, they have a lot of very quick bursts and they can get around the map really fast. They have better gank presence, and they have better split push. But late game definitely goes in favor of Bipolar Method. That Agni puts out lots and lots of damage with the meteors in the late game, has great wave clear and nice control in team fights with his AoE stun. You have Youngbei and HiRock, both physical damage carries, one melee, one range. And if they get that fight in the jungle, they can reliably land those multiplayer Hades ults into the HiRock Monkey ult as well as the Raw Snipe, a little bit easier in these tight corridors. They're in a really good spot. They're going to look for a kill on the Badger here. He's going to immediately get the reaction ultimate out. Hunbot's ultimate on top of it. Kraken comes out. No kills just yet. Getting barely out of there is Badger. Now in some trouble is going to be the Thor. Can we see this cleaned up by HiRock? Stun comes out. Ball comes out, but it's going to miss from Isis. HiRock going to get turned around on. Brilliant play by SK so far. Will they continue in this engagement or will they look to get out? Zalia, you got to think, is going to be the primary damage dealer for the remainder of this team fight. Now in some trouble of his own. Getting stunned out. Youngbei with a rotation, very strong. And yes, indeed, Bipolar Method takes the better of that team fight. They take a 2 for 1 in exchange for Hunbots. They'll pick up Isis and Bacchus.
That was a great turnaround too, because SK, they seem to have their number right there, and yet they're able to pick up that damage. Youngbei, I was actually surprised he jumped into like the back line of SK. Was still able to survive, not to mention that knockback from that spear. And fantastic job by Bipolar to really kind of, I don't want to say take the game back because they've had it for quite a while, but they obviously didn't get that first blood. It was like 2-0 at the beginning. They're closing the goal lead. They have it actually almost in their favor for the first time. And right now, 13 minutes in, I wouldn't be surprised to see Gold Fury being taken soon.
Yeah, I wouldn't be either. I mean, that's a really good point. They have the Apollo on their side, does SK, so if they can win a team fight, they can definitely take it down with him. But, HiRock, Agni, and on her here are certainly no slouches. Of course, they want to get those stacks up on the Youngbei, so they're going to put him probably in a farming role for a moment until they get those 50 stacks.
Actually, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe, just maybe, SK went for a little bit of split push. So the thing is, if you have Gold Fury on one side of the map, have Apollo split push the other side, and then have the rest of his team just harass. Don't try to actually go for a full-on fight, and then you can allow him to take some turrets, gets that free farm to stack up some items, and then you become, you apply that pressure that the other team's going to have to deal with.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really strong play that they could look to make. I mean, in the meantime, Ra gets some nice damage onto that right side tier 1 tower for Team Bipolar Method. In the mid lane, you have Badger and Youngbei once again kind of going back to their, it looks like Bipolar Method really wants to keep this laning phase as long as possible. I think they feel like they have the stronger laning phase and that they aren't really willing to start roaming the map at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if we compare it to the last game we just saw, I mean, by this time, by 14 minutes in, we had about like 15 kills on the board because there's that much fighting. Right now, it seems like they're starting to group up a little bit more here in middle. And I'm actually kind of surprised at the lack of action in those solo lanes, especially when you have a Thor on your team who can initiate, get that stun down, followed up with whatever else you have, and try to pick up a very easy kill. But mostly, if any fights do break out, it's going to be, or it's been in that jungle, and it's been major team fights.
Yeah, we saw the Apollo come over to this left side of the map. That ult is down. If they spotted it out, I think Bipolar Method would look to maybe find this split push opportunity of their own. They have no Apollo ult to quickly react to it, so it looks like they're just going to run Sun Touch right back to the mid lane. I'm sorry, not Sun Touch. That's going to be, of course, going to smack on the Apollo. So,
who would Bipolar split push with?
You know,
because I mean, they have great wave clear out of Agni and Ra.
It would be the Ra.
Okay.
Because the Ra not only has a sustain, he also gives himself speed, which will allow him to get a little bit easier. Okay, here comes the initiation. It's a great initiation by the Hades on top of the Hunbots. Up in the air is a Thor. He's going to slam back down, not finding anyone in Sayo just yet. Isis is already down. That's a huge ultimate that's not going to be available. They'll find Badger in the back line. SK trying to find a kill on the Hunbots as well. Will you be able to clean it up? Will Sun Touch? Bacchus has fallen already. Still fighting is the Apollo. Lobster with a double kill now as they pick up Smack. Looking for a kill is Sayo. Once again, he'll find Spoo. And now he's going to have to run away from Lobster, but it's not going to be enough. And only the Poseidon remains on the board, and a triple kill comes out for Lobster. And that's why people have, so far in this tournament, banned out Agni against Bipolar Method.
Yeah, I mean, a triple kill. They ended up getting 4 for 2 in the end for them. And it looks like they're going to try to take the Gold Fury right off the back of that too. So a huge gold swing going to be coming in their favor. And that was actually a really crazy fight out of both teams. And you saw, all the AoE coming down in that tight area. And you saw HiRezBart actually with his ultimate, he kept him there for quite a while. Him and it's Badger, just really locked them down. And it allowed Lobster, and it allowed Ra to just get all this free damage down.
Yeah, as we kind of mentioned, Sun Touch, well, as we were postulating that the better team fight in the jungle would indeed be Bipolar Method, and I think it definitely worked out that way here. They were able to take that fight. They have the ability for Agni to stand on the other side of the wall in safety and drop those meteors, and that's what you saw there. He was able to chip away at the enemy gods and then kind of move in when he wanted to, put down his spells and get out cleanly. We're also going to see a tower kill come out in favor of SK actually on the back of that engagement. So they have a little bit of a ray of hope. You see that little gold spike there, but this is dangerous because Bipolar Method has held the experience lead for basically the last 10 minutes of this game, and so they now have a 4,000 experience lead, and have just now taken the gold lead as well at about 1,000. If that continues to grow, SK is going to have some serious trouble transitioning into the late game. And
one thing I actually really love about Bipolar's teamfight team in the jungle is the fact that on her, he can protect himself by knocking someone into that wall and locking them down. He doesn't really need that protection, so that means that Badger, he can be the one to initiate. And with that initiate, you're keeping his backline free during the entire time. Not to mention, like you said, Agni, with the ultimates coming over the walls, won't even be able to see where he's coming from necessarily, and really get that extra damage, pick up some kills. And right now, Bipolar Method are looking very strong to potentially pick up this win.
Yeah, they are. They look like they have a very good idea of what they want to do with this game. HiRezBart's actually going to come around and look for a kill on the Isis. No, deciding they're too close to the tower, and it's just going to be too risky. So they're going to actually rotate here for the blue buff, it looks like. So we'll leave them for the moment. And yeah, I mean, to that point of Anher really being able to protect himself almost with that pin. Youngbei is a very, very strong player at even high latencies, and in land, you expect him to really hit nearly all of these Anher pins. And so far, he's been really, really consistent.
Yeah, and right now, I guess we're starting to transition into a little bit of the mid game. So you do see Smeckington actually going in here on the Ra.
Yeah, he's going to try to find this kill on the Ra. His Mez actually misses there. Here comes the Isis ball. They're trying to do it. I'm actually going to slow us down a little bit so we can see exactly what happens here. As HiRezBart has come in to turn it around, Bacchus comes in, but they're not going to have enough to pick it up. But they will get a kill on the Sun Touch and Zalia. So a great, great, great play there. In fact, coming out from the gentleman of Bipolar Method so far. Spoo may be falling here, riding around, kiting in his heel. Coming back in now is HiRezBart, and he's going to leap right back out of that. So that's going to be should be the end of that initiation. Bacchus wants to continue going in, but look at this. We do have the tower push coming out on the mid lane now, and they're going to be able to pick this up just like that. Will the gentleman of SK, and now they are up by 2150 in gold. Do you see it just popping up there at 2235? So they're really starting to roll along here, ladies and gentlemen. And will this be enough to take them into a victory is the question.
The thing is, Spoo, like, did you see how long he lived in that gank?
Yeah.
He survived for so long, and because of that, they lost one person, but they got a middle turret from it. They got a middle tower, and that's what's really the key point of it. He was able to stay alive. He was able to still escape in the end, and getting that extra gold over for their team is going to help out with these items. And speaking of items, anything big coming out or anything different than you normally would see so far?
Yeah, so what we see here, Smack once again on Apollo going for that Heartseeker into Soul Eater build. It sacrifices damage for attack speed and lifesteal. It's more of an objective killing and split pushing style of build, so I would expect to see him kind of maybe commit a little bit stronger to that as we move closer to that kind of late mid-game, early late game period. Really besides that, you see the Sovereignties coming out in the shields over here on SK, but on Bipolar Method, you see a Jotun's Wrath is being worked on by HiRezBart. He'll likely be falling back to pick that up after finishing this creep camp. Let's take a look at how much gold he's currently holding. He's got 1,700 gold, so he can finish this off here. So he'll have a finished Jotun's Wrath, which will give him even more cooldown reduction and even more penetration, and he'll be really sitting pretty for this next team fight. We have the Blink has been up on HiRezBart for quite some time now, and he's just been really following up that Hades ultimate with it best he can. It's a really, I think, a smart pickup. It just allows him to kind of guarantee that initiation is going to be sound.
And speaking of team fights, look at Lobster, 5-0-4, 10,000 net gold. The next person, the person closest to him on SK side is Sayo with 8,600.
Yeah, and he's getting close to 9,000 player damage in those team fights with a 10,000 net worth. So he's starting to really pull ahead, and this is the danger of Agni. Once he does get ahead, if he gets that Rada Tahuti out, it's going to be some serious trouble. He's going to go actually for the Breastplate of Valor on top of his Void Stone. So the kind of typical burst damage mage build we've seen from these side lane mages so far has been a fairly protection heavy set. It does have a nice cooldown reduction. It does have a fairly large mana pool as well as some nice penetration and magical protection between that Void Stone and Breastplate of Valor. But at the end of the day, Lobster is not going for kind of the all-in Glass Cannon build, but it will have very nice damage as he finishes these next items.
Some good damage being done onto Apollo right there, but it actually surprisingly wasn't as much as I was expecting. I mean, it took him down to half health, don't get me wrong, it did a lot, but I don't know, being 5-0-4, I expected maybe to pick up a kill right there, but I guess he wasn't really able to. But right now, we do see, looks like a fight breaking out over the Gold Fury, and it looks like Bipolar Method has the position on this, but we're going to find out as Agni's sitting on that side, he's going to be able to support from that long range, and SK, it looks like they want to give it up or potentially just wait for it to get a little bit lower and maybe go for that steal.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on Lobster here in the back lines. You know, this just feels like a bait to me. They really just want to, force the issue here. They want to take the team fight with SK. Bipolar Method really feeling like they have the advantage. We'll wait for the initiation. They reset the Gold Fury yet again, and they're just wasting so much time. I'd really like to see the Apollo split off and look to split push. But really, it should be, I think, Youngbei. He really needs to look for some additional stacks and farm. The Apollo's a bit ahead, and yeah, it looks like that was not taking the bait was SK there. They know Bipolar Method wants to take that fight in the jungle, and they're not willing to do it.
The thing is, the longer they sat there, the more damage Badger was taking, the lower he was going to get, and the window that SK had to engage was becoming smaller, or not smaller and smaller, but it was becoming more opportunistic for them as they just tanked it up a little bit longer. But right now they do actually rotate over a little bit here, and we're still going to see consistently Suntouch going for that push in the side lane, and the person responsible to him will be Lobster. They're just kind of getting farm as much as possible, shove the wave, and then kind of the other person comes back, pushes the wave back at him, and then they kind of try to look for a team fight while that lane is pushed up.
You know, I think that's a pretty big advantage actually in the way of Bipolar Method. If Agni and Poseidon are like racing the late game, Poseidon is much more of a one-trick pony. He kind of dumps all of his spells, and that's all he has for maybe 10 seconds. Whereas Agni can space out those meteors, and with late game farm, those meteors will hit as hard as the Kraken. So
each one individually.
Each one, exactly. So he can really space those out. Now Poseidon does have the superior, kind of one fell swoop burst, and can guarantee his damage maybe a little bit better than Agni. But Agni has, I think, more versatility into the late game. But already hitting Smack for 200 damage there is that on her of Youngbei.
And it looks like we might finally see the first loss come in of the day for Apollo here. I'm getting a little bit sad here because I've been enjoying this champion and I've been enjoying watching him for quite a while today. But right now, Badger,
really pick it up.
It looks like he wants to potentially go in here. I mean, he's sitting very aggressive, sitting really far forward. And it looks like the Gold Fury might be the objective right now over for Bipolar.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to make their way over there. We'll take a ride with Spoo for the moment. They always have Lobster available to zone them out. They'll probably look to rotate Hades out in front as well. But here comes the response from SK. What are they going to look for? Badger sitting there face taking the Gold Fury. He's going to move towards him and look for that, basically the zoning, try to get them to disengage. Thor's done out. They're going to catch Youngbei, but Hunbots is there to protect him in the back line. Here comes Apollo coming in. They really want to pick up Youngbei. They know he's been doing a lot of damage in the fight. Immediate beads on reaction. Here comes Sayo. Will he be able to pick up the skill on the Bay? You know he's looking for it. Where's the juke, Youngbei? You don't have a leap available. Will he go down? Oh, the Aegis is just brilliant. They're going to go with HiRezBart as well. Will they turn this around on Sayo? The Desert Fury being channeled, and they pick him up. What a play by Bipolar Method. Then Gortak's going to dive as well. Sun Touch will pick up Lobster over in the side lane, but it doesn't matter. That play by Youngbei was just brilliant.
Wow, and in the end, it's a 1-for-2 over for SK right there. The first time they've been able to win a fight. I guess it's not over just yet, as Spo might get caught out.
Yeah, Spoon taking quite a bit of damage here, but Smack doing so as well. He's trying to throw in those auto attacks coming through his Badger. Does he have enough to pick up the kill? I think he's going to go down before. He will indeed, but falling to the archers actually is Smack. Badger gets credit for that kill. One more Wing Gust needs a hit. No, not enough, and living just barely. There's Hyrock, but Spoo will fall as well as Sun Touch in the extended engagement. And at the end of the day, it's a 4-for-2 exchange in favor of SK. And now we take a look at the graph, and you see it start moving back up in their favor. Gold difference just over 1,000. XP still heavily in favor of Bipolar Method, but they should pick up either a Gold Fury or a Tower out of that last engagement will SK.
But they haven't really gone anything for just yet. I mean, obviously they do have quite a bit of time. They are heading over towards a Gold Fury, I would imagine, right now. And yeah, I mean, that definitely helps. And the thing is, like, SK versus Vengeance, whenever they would lose a fight, they wouldn't get down on themselves. They would just take a step, or take a second and be like, what went wrong? What do we need to fix? And you see right there, I mean, Bipolar Method had the control of the game for quite a while. They're able to turn that around, able to kind of take the lead back in their favor, at least close the gap a little bit more. And they're actually taking a long time this Gold Fury. We do see right now, but Bipolar Method's going to come in from the side.
Yeah, here comes Hyrock. You know, I'm not sure what he really can do here, but we'll find out. I mean, he has the ultimate available. He can look to disrupt and get that it's a very small window to get that steal. No, it's not going to happen at all because they do have the Hand of the Gods available. Maybe look for a follow-up initiation. Hyrock starting to chase in. He's going to avoid that silence by Isis, but I think he needs to be careful not to overextend. And yeah, indeed, you'll see him just turn around and fall back. However, you know, the net worths here between Lobster and Sun Touch are very, very close. Both of those burst mages are getting quite high in farm, and you have you know, pretty high net here from both the junglers as well. Hyrock sitting about 10-5, as is your jungler for SK, Sayo. So the Rada Tahuti being worked on by Sun Touch now, so he's actually going to be going all in on damage, whereas Lobster's going a little bit more conservative build. They feel like they need more damage in the team fights, and Sun Touch is to be going forward that Rada Tahuti, of course. He has just finished it, and it just gives you 125 magical power plus 25% additional on top of what you got. So if we take a look here at this screen, I'll keep it up for not very long. You'll see that the magical power is 306 for Sun Touch versus the Agni sitting at 120.
Wow, that is a huge difference. And not to mention, Sun Touch, he got so lucky in that last fight because he had a 2,000 to 3,000 net worth difference between him and Lobster. And yet from that fight alone, he was able to close that gap. And it looks like Smek, he wants to do some damage onto this left side turret here, but it's already very low, and we do see a fight breaking out here over on this right side.
Yeah, the dive is coming out for Zilia, and he will fall just after using the ultimate, so he's actually now expended that cooldown. Bak is being chased out of the way. Tanking that tower is Badger. They're going to fall back into the heal from Spoo, and they're going to look to pick up this tower. The ports are coming in. Who is this coming in? Middle tower goes in the way of Sun Touch. Left side tower is still being pressured by Apollo. It's just such a strong presence right now. They take a long time to stall at this tower, and SK actually will likely pick up 2 for it. Gortak may be falling down here. The lead comes in from Humbots. Indeed, it will. Now we'll take a look back on the left side where Smek will kill Youngbei with the help of Sun Touch, and they'll get a tower as well. And it's, you know, it's really hard to say who actually came out on top of that. It's going to be 2 towers for SK, but some kills and 1 tower for Bipolar Method. A tough exchange. I think it goes the way of SK, in fact, at the end of things.
Yeah, I was really curious to see if Bipolar was going to continue to push up right there because they had 3 or 4 people. Not as healthy as they wanted to, but they had to stop that split push that was over on the other side of the map with Sun Touch and obviously with Smek, and able to secure it. A lot of turrets going down so far. It's still a very, very close game at about 2,000 gold difference between both these teams. There are 16 to 13 in kills for Bipolar Method. And right now, I honestly couldn't tell you who would win this game.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the graphs here, I mean, you see that fight was really, really good for SK. In fact, 1,600 gold now above where Bipolar Method is. They've come back from nearly a 2,500 gold deficit, and Bipolar Method feels like they have an opportunity for Fire Giant here.
No, they got there's no way. I mean, I think they wanted to sneak that away, but they actually are being spotted right now by SK, and it looks like a little fight's breaking out. Agni trying to escape here.
If they get burst on Agni, it's going to be huge, and it looks like they're going to be able to. Death from Blow from Hades. Will it be enough to save Lobster? It will not indeed. Ross Knight coming through, not really hitting anybody. Apollo going to go up in that chariot. It's going to be a side lane mage for side lane mage trade, and you know, I think that really goes in really no one's favor, though both of those gods have about equal farm and equal levels, so too close to call.
SK luckily they were able to stop the Fire Giant. They haven't put a ward down on top of it to spot it the next time it's trying to be done, but Bipolar, I mean, maybe they're getting a little antsy. Maybe they were starting to say, like, you know, guys, it's starting to slip out of our hands. Maybe we need to go for something really ballsy, and they kind of got shut down right there. And right now, SK, they're kind of sticking on the sides. They do finally get a ward down, it looks like.
Yeah, they're going to go counter ward the Fire Giant. You know, I feel like Bipolar's really, really keen on taking these team fights in the jungle, as we kind of were talking about and have been talking about. And SK's done a really nice job of not always taking that bait, kind of picking their spots where they feel like they have an advantage.
Yeah, we're at the point in the game, I have to say, where the tankiness, well, the teams are very tanky, and they can withstand the damage from the turrets quite a bit. So I was trying to think, maybe split push will happen, and if so, who has a better wave clear to stop a push coming down on their side? And I don't think it really matters anymore. I mean, we've seen Apollos just tank up turrets and attack them with non-stop. Smek is at that point where he has the ability to do it. And not to mention, Gortak wasn't even in that last fight where we saw that 1-for-1 trade with the side lane mages.
That's right. Let's talk quickly about the items. We have Sovereignty done here on the Zillia, so going a very, very tanky build. They'll have the double Sovereignty between Gortak and Zillia. You have a Titan's Bane coming out on top of that Soul Eater, so going that attack speed build is Smek once again. We're going to see a little bit more about how it develops than we did last time. It's going to be a shield into Jotun's Wrath for Sio on top of his Focus Void Blade, so a more bruiser-focused Thor than damage-focused. Gortak going to be building into his own Bulwark here to make his tanky presence a little bit more known. And Suntouch sitting on his Rod of Tahuti, moving into Gem of Isolation, so once he get more control to go with his burst damage. On the other side, Spoo has finished his Breastplate of Valor on top of Voidstone. They've got the Jotun's Wrath up and running against Focus Voidstone for HiRock. He's more damage-focused than the Thor is by quite a bit. He's definitely not a bruiser, definitely much more of a damage-based god. And then you have an Obsidian Shard being worked on by Lobster, wants to cut through some of that magic defense. And then, of course, Youngbei is working on the double stacking and moving into Executioner, giving him some shred and some attack speed. And
take a look at the scoreboard right now, if you can show that. I mean, just look at the stats across the board. Right now, we have a lot of defense built up for SK. I mean, they each have pretty much one item. However, on the other side, for Bipolar, Anher has nothing. Youngbei has no defensive item. We've seen him get ganked earlier on, and he just dropped like a rock, but his physical damage is pretty much through the roof. And not to mention Suntouch, he has a huge magical lead over Lobster.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, taking a look, 290 physical power here on Anher. Looking at the Apollo here, sitting at 236. So, you know, doing more damage per hit, and that's really what Anher specializes in, is just pure damage roll as that range carry. It doesn't have really the same utility as some of the other gods. He has a very, very strong kit for 1v1 fighting, and if he can get into a man fight with Smek, he will certainly win.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see if that would happen. I mean, he would be the answer to Apollo, and that's kind of, I mean, he'd do fairly well. He doesn't obviously have the mobility that Apollo has to get around the map very quickly, but he'll be able to, I'm assuming, duel him very quickly, or very easily. Yeah, he will. He has that kind of those anti-carry abilities here. We'll go ahead and sort by our net worth. You'll see Suntouch sitting at 13,000 gold farm. Just behind him is Sio at 12.5. On the other side for Bipolar Method, you see 13.3 and 12.5 respectively for Lobster and HiRock. So both of the junglers doing quite well at this point, and both of the those solo side laners are really making their presence known. Lobster's still going to be significantly behind in magical power, but he has really proven his worth outside of that, sitting at 6 and 2. Not to mention, he has that high amount of cooldown reduction. Right, and you were talking earlier on about Agni. You'll be able to provide a lot more in these team fights, a lot more damage overall, whereas, you know, Poseidon or Suntouch, he wants to just burst people down. And I mean, that's two kind of different ways to go about playing a mage here, and I want to see which one's really going to work out. You can tell both teams, like, they're kind of at that point where we realize the next fight is probably going to determine the game. And they're being very hesitant. They don't want to actually go for a straight-on fight here. They're trying to wait for someone to maybe get out of position and take advantage of that. And we even see, like, some attempts at split pushing come in and trying to make the other team make a wrong move here. But right now, both teams, they're just waiting out. They're just waiting for their opponent to do something.
Yeah, I think in this case, SK may be their own biggest enemy. If they look to keep up this aggressive play and they try to make plays with the Thor and it doesn't go well, it's going to potentially cost them the game. And they are a very, very aggressive team when it comes to those kinds of plays. You know, they'll look to take those fights. They look to initiate, and they have a team that really needs to be the initiator, I think. But, you know, they have decent counter initiation between Isis and Bacchus, but I feel like that Thor and Poseidon combination is really what they need to execute on. And we have maybe some a little bit of Gold Fury shenanigans going on, but it's just some counter warding by Badger and Lobster. And now they're going to continue to group and look to take some farm off the map, whereas Smek and Anher, being played by Youngbei, have just basically followed each other around the map, going from left lane to right lane, pushing them up.
And in both teams, they're trying to control the vision over the Fire Giant, but I'm not really sure either of them can really do the damage to take it down quick enough or can sustain, but we do see a fight breaking out here middle.
Oh yeah, here we go. We're gonna slow down just a bit. There's a Rasa coming on top of Sao. They're trying to burst him down. They're gonna be able to get him just like that. We'll go back up to full speed and watch the rest of it come out. Badger comes out with his ultimate. He's not gonna be able to convert that onto anybody, but he will have a fear coming out, and that will put Isis in the danger zone. Now the Kraken comes out. It does nice burst damage, but I don't think it's gonna be enough as the Agni bombs rain in from the back lines. Desert Fury coming out, hits Zalia for quite a bit, and Gortok in the back. However, Apollo has come in, and he's going to find a kill on to Spoo. So down will go the Rod, no more heal available, and Apollo's going to go ahead and get out of there on his Golden Chariot. So the 1-for-1 is barely converted there by SK, but they lose their Thor.
And in the end, I mean, it's a pretty even trade. I mean, yeah, they lost their jungler, but he's going to be up in about 29 seconds, and still both teams, I mean, considering at the point we're in, and considering the position, but considering that Bipolar was the one to initiate the fight, they were pretty much the first ones to back away. They didn't want to have to deal with Apollo because Smek he's strong. I mean, he is damn strong right now.
Yeah, Smek is really doing quite well for himself. He's going to go for the Rage Blade after his Titan there. And that's going to give him even more crit chance and more attack speed. So he's and then likely going to sell that Death Toll into his Deathbringer is probably what he's looking for. We have a combat blink on Poseidon, so he wants to be able to push up and play really aggressively. And you know, I'm a little surprised that SK didn't go for a Gold Fury attempt on the back of that last team fight, but they seem to be perfectly happy to farm up a little bit more before looking to take those objectives.
I'm trying to think, where's like the next bit of action going to come down? I mean, you would assume it's Fire Giant, but at this point, you can't really tell. I mean, because they're fighting in random positions, they're trying to catch each other off guard, and Gold Fury, I mean, wasn't taken, it's still just sitting there. It drops very quickly at this point in the game, and both teams still just kind of don't want to make that misstep.
You don't want to be the guy that made the call that lost the game, you know?
That is true.
But
that is very true.
To that point, it looks like the call has been made, and Badger and HiRock are going to go ahead and start this Gold Fury. They look like they're trying to sneak it, but they're going to get kind of rallied behind look at that he accidentally beads. I think HiRock accidentally blew his beads there. I saw him glowing. That could be very, very unfortunate for him if that is indeed the case, but he now is going to continue in there. The Whirlpool comes out, box initiation, and that's a beautiful reset actually coming up from Badger. And they're going to go ahead and let that one go, and they're now going to look to disengage as Gortok looks for a kill. Sayo comes in, but doesn't actually pick anybody up.
Oh, I thought I saw him use his ulti to get up to the sky, but...
Oh, he did. He just didn't actually convert.
Oh, okay.
And now he's going to go to farm, and this his Majora's Tomb is down, and going to rally back to the Gold Fury here now is Bipolar Method. Will they be able to convert it this time? Whirlpool once again, Badger taking a lot of damage. He's going to eat the wave, and that's yet another reset. He's going to get stunned out by a long-range ball, and he's sitting at fairly low health. You know, and here's Lobster now throwing in those meteors, but you see without that full damage build, he's not doing too much. I mean, he's hitting that Bacchus for about 270, which is just really tickling him at this point, even with the Obsidian Shard.
Yeah, and that's a lot of kind of ultimates down across the board for both teams. I mean, it's just one, obviously, from Sayo. Agni was using his a little bit right there, but this Gold Fury, I mean, considering the stage of the game, considering we're 36 minutes in, I'm honestly surprised that this is what's being contested, and it's not the Fire Giant.
Well, they feel like if they lose a fight at Fire Giant, they lose the game for sure.
I think if they lose a fight at Gold Fury, they lose the game. I mean,
I would agree. It's highly likely.
Just rush down middle. You have like a 60-second death timer. That means you can easily take the game, and it looks like they're going to go for it yet again. We do have Poseidon off to the side here. He's going to be spotting it. And look where both teams are. There's two people out of position. Apollo's actually coming for the side. He's going to be out of position as well, and this could be, finally, a Gold Fury going down to Bipolar Method.
They're going to certainly give it their best effort. Trying to zone them out is Badger. The Meteor's coming in from Lobster over the wall. They look pretty good. The ultimate's going to be used on Isons. Kraken is there. Youngbei still tanking that damage. Will go down, will get stunned out by the Bacchus Burp. Apollo comes rotating back in. That Isis ultimate has charged fully. Lobster still raining in meteors from behind his Agni. Still no one down. Yes, there's the first kill. It's going to be on to Youngbei. Gortok will be picking up that kill. Rotating in his HiRock, but he's getting bursted down so hard. And the Intoxicate comes out, and SK is winning this team fight so far. The ball is going to miss. The ultimate comes over the wall once again. What a stun, but it's just going to pin in Smek. He found the stun onto Rob, but he didn't leave his teammates much room to maneuver. I can say words good. And that's going to be a Gold Fury for sure here for SK, and they may look to pick up the Fire Giant as well.
Honestly, yeah, I'm about to say, like, right now, why is this their priority target? Why not just rush that Fire Giant down right now? I mean, you're healthy enough to do it. You only have to worry about 3 people with, you know, their ultimates not really being available. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess I can understand just the fact that Lobster can harass really well while you're doing it.
Yeah. Well, you know, the Hades ultimate was used in that last team fight, so you know, they don't have that to worry about. What they do have to worry about, though, is that rank 3 Hand of the Gods, which will actually pick up the Fire Giant at 25% of its health. It instantly kills him if he gets below a quarter. So they're worried, I think, about that that death from below Badger into the hand of the gods when they use theirs to just secure the Gold Fury, I think is what it has to be. But they maybe should have just not used it at the Gold Fury.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I mean, obviously we're not them, so we can't really tell you exactly what's going through their heads. I bet leaps and bounds beyond better players at Smite than we are. Maybe not you, but definitely me.
I'm the #1 player in the world. I don't know if you knew that about me.
I did not, actually.
No, they definitely. I'm sure they have a great reason, and maybe our host and hostess can ask maybe one of the teams if SK ends up taking this, why they did elect to go for that strategy. And now you see them just floating around Fire Giant. They know that's where they need to go next, and now it looks like they want to take another team fight, but they want to force the issue on this side of the map.
And taking a look at just the graphs, the gold difference, 6,000 in favor of SK right now. The experience difference, I mean, at 38 minutes in, is pretty much nothing.
Oh, there we go. Just a small computer hiccup there, guys. Sorry about that if you saw that hiccup in your stream as well. Putting in too much damage to that tower is Smek, and it will fall. And look at him, he just rains in shots on HiRez, and HiRez forced to disengage. Isis, are they going to find Isis here? No, that stun and silence combination is going to be enough. But now here comes the Apollo, and it all comes down to Smek. Will he see it in time? He's going to get stunned out, and he's just going to beads and ult right out of there. Do they have the burst? They do indeed. A crit comes out from HiRez. What good timing for a crit. And he will pick up that. No, I'm sorry, it's not even a crit. That was just an auto attack. It just does that much damage with his Titan's Bane. I think he rallied back to the fight with it. So between him and Youngbei, who did actually get a crit in there, they are able to pick that up. And now SK is going to be feeling the pain of not going for the Fire Giant after winning the team fight, because you know who just did get a pick off and is looking for the team fight is going to be Bipolar Method. What will be the answer from the gentleman of SK? I think we take a ride with SunTouch here and find out, as his Kraken is going to be pretty instrumental in this next team fight. Still in the pit. Here's the Kraken ultimate coming out. It hits nobody. Oh, that's so bad for SK. Spoo will pick up a kill on the style. No Thor available. Down will fall Zalia as well. That's two members of SK. They're going to continue this fight. Spoo gets a slow out. Intoxicate comes out from Gortok, but he's being turned around on Lobster. Has so much damage as he stands in that flame path. It's just burning through him. The meteor's coming out. Down goes Gortok. That would be a 4-1 trade, ladies and gentlemen, and that is going to be Bipolar Method taking a Fire Giant. And Jason, I think you're right.
About what? Because I'm right about so many things.
I've lost track of all the things you are so right about, but here I can definitely say that the SK going for that Gold Fury, I think, is ultimately going to.
I'm actually right now surprised that Bipolar went for the Fire Giant. I mean, just looking at death timers, just stick with me real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, you still have 30 seconds. I mean, at the time, they had 40 seconds on 3 members of SK. That would have been a Phoenix. And they still would have had time to back and take the Fire Giant. And obviously, they can go for the Phoenix right now, which in the end is ended up with the same exact thing. But obviously, we're going to see how it works out.
Yeah, you know, they are. It takes a little bit less time to like rally to the objectives, you know, especially with the Apollo available. But you know, I agree with you. But teams really like to favor that Fire Giant buff because of the sustain it gives for the push, because of the HP regen, and they really heavily favor that even over the Furies or the over the Phoenixes, as you mentioned. But you can see now they're going to look to find the win here. It appears they'll pick up one Phoenix and likely there's too many towers up. I think they're going to just take the gold off the map and then look to maybe finish all of the remaining towers, pick up another Phoenix, and then fall back, grab the items, and look for that GG push.
I'm trying to think, do they have the ability to siege that Phoenix down against the entirety of SK? And yeah, they do have the power up from that Fire Giant, but that's some good damage coming out there. But do they have the coordination to do this? And it looks like they're all just going to be backing out with quite a bit of gold to spend here. We're going to see some, I guess, final items come in, because I'm expecting potentially that final push to come in from Bipolar Method here. And with that Phoenix down, I don't think you actually even really explained to anyone, you know, who hasn't played Smite necessarily what the Phoenix being down does.
Sure, yeah, we have a fight popping up in the jungle here a little bit. Badger uses his ultimate, not going to find anybody. SK really wants to punish BM for this kind of lazy back. Where is that Thor ultimate? Is he going to come in time? No, it looks like Lobster's going to get out of jail free. Apollo's going to use his ultimate, however, and he's going to look to find some kills. Youngbei in a little bit of trouble. Will they be able to pick it up? Another Raul comes out. It's on such a short cooldown with the cooldown reduction. He's a mask. Smek going to get feared out of that Hunt Bot ult now as HiRez has rotated back in. He has a red pot active as well for just some additional damage in this fight. These auto attacks need to land for Smek. 1, 2, no, he misses the 2. Had he gotten another crit there, he probably could have dove and found that kill, but in the end, just a lot of ultimates used, and in fact, no kills picked up. Only 2 ultimates remaining on the board. Of course, the Agni kind of always has his, and Zalia's Isis ult is available. Game pause by Spoo. The admins will be taking a look at this, guys, and during this pause period, you know, we can talk a little bit more about that Fire Giant, and a really interesting item pickup here actually is going to be this static shard is actually picked up by Zalia. So damage reflect coming out for that Isis over the additional restoration of the Restoration Star. You know, using a name in its description, awesome. But 25-second cooldown. This item builds up stacks and then can be detonated, giving you health and mana back while also giving you damage reflect versus just additional health and mana that the other side of it does. The other thing to note is going to be the what you were talking about earlier is what a Phoenix does. So when you kill a Phoenix, it creates fire minions in that lane, and when they are fire minions in the lane, they deal additional damage, and the Minotaur actually loses a little health. So those fire minions do more damage and have more health than your average Joe, so to speak. So we will now go ahead and catch up to the Hunbots here as he moves through the jungle. Where are you? Where are you, Hi-Rock? There you are, buddy. Oh, wow, we're moving at 2x speed just to catch a little bit closer up to live. This our spectator client is on a very, very small delay, so my slow-mo has costed us just a brief moment of 2x speed, but we missed nothing.
One job, Bart.
I know, and I had one job, and it was to yell, and I messed that up too. So here we go. What is SK going to do here? I mean, what can they really do?
Fight?
There's not much to even talk about.
They have to.
They have to win a team fight.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with the Phoenix being down, the lady is constantly going to push against them. They let 2 Phoenixes go down, which right now, with Bipolar going towards this left side, they still have 2 turrets to kind of push through here. They have to, and it looks like Fire Giant buff still is available right now, and wow, that is a lot of damage going down.
And that is going to be a kill coming out in favor of the Hunbots. And did I see no, it was just those auto attacks coming out, and that's enough to pick up Thor before he can get out. They no longer have that stun available. And you know what? I think Thor is not going to win a game in these first 4 games so far, as SK is starting to fall quite a bit behind Bipolar Method. You see those graphs starting to swing back in Bipolar Method's favor. The gold advantage still in the favor of SK, but 5K of the XP is still going the way of Bipolar Method, and they have that Fire Giant buff active for just a few more moments, so they're going to look to push right on in here and take another set of towers.
This is going to be very scary. I mean, they have 38 seconds left on Sio. They have to be able to defend this next Phoenix, or if that one goes down, I think the chances of coming back in the game is very, very low. It really diminishes right there, and they're just going to face tank this down. It's going to drop very quickly. And SK, I mean, do they go for a fight here? Do they wait for Sio to get up? But if they do that, they might pretty much lose another Phoenix. So what's the choice they have?
Yeah, I mean, for the first time in the last 20 minutes, Bipolar Method will basically draw the gold even. And here it looks like SK wants to make a stand. No, they're actually not. They're going to disengage. They didn't like that positioning they had. Doing his part is Hi-Rock is going to push up that mid lane, and they're going to fall back, it looks like, and take a Gold Fury. They want to just get more ahead. I guess they want even more items and take more things off the board.
It seems like at this point in the game, though, the amount of gold you get from Gold Fury or just getting any extra gold right now doesn't really mean too much. I mean, obviously it diminishes over time, but their items, they're pretty much almost fully done across the board for them, and it's not really about who has what items anymore, it seems. It's just about who can outplay the other team.
No, you're absolutely right, and the Gold Fury also yields quite a bit of experience as well, but that's not going to be, of course, no issue. But getting bursted down is Sun Touch, so no Kraken ultimate available. The ultimate comes out from Badger, pulling them in. In the backside, SK is going to go in deep, and Gortak's going to get in there for that Gold Fury. And this fight continues, and really it seems to be Youngbei takes a lot of damage from the Apollo. You see, neither of them can really can deal with each other's damage. Hi-Rock wants to re-engage. Here comes his overhead smash, but it's going to get silenced out by the Isis. Nice play there, and looks like SK has lived to fight another day.
This game is lasting. It was probably our longest game of the day so far, and you can tell what's at stake with both these teams. I mean, I think if it was probably the first game of the day, it would have already ended by now because both teams would have just been a lot more aggressive. But you know, coming into the playoff brackets that we're going to be going into after the round robin for that chance to win 7,500 euros. I mean, both of them want to win, and not to mention, like we were saying before, this is pretty much like the second biggest or the second offline tournament for Smite right now.
Yeah.
They want to be able to say, you know, hold their heads high and say, yeah, you know, we won the second tournament ever for Smite.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, if SK is able to take it down, that'll be the 2 out of 2 victories for them. They won the previous EU LAN tournament, which was about a year ago at Paris at the Paris Games Week. But here comes the Fire Giant attempt from Bipolar Method. They feel like they have an opportunity here. SK did pick up that Gold Fury, but as we mentioned, you know, a little extra gold and a little extra XP is not a big deal right now in this game.
Oh, Thor's getting ready to go in. Actually, they stole it away.
Yeah, they stole it away. SK is going to be able to... No, Bipolar Method picked that up. That's actually looks like a glitch. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, I see it floating around the Bipolar Method guys. Yeah,
It
so
said SK. I was like, don't tease me.
yeah, I'm sorry. We got your hopes up. But Zalia will pick up a couple kills there on Her and Agni. So Bipolar Method forced to do a little bit too much, I think, to get that Fire Giant. And now they may look for a kill on the Badger as well. The knockup is going to hit Intoxicate as well. They're going to focus their efforts on the Badger, who's looking to find his ability to get through this wall. Will he get it in time? Will there be a silence? No, it's going to be the cripple. It's going to stop him. HiRock with the overhead smash. I'm not sure it's going to be enough.
The thing is, Bipolar got the Fire Giant, but they lost 4 people. And this honestly could be game right now. They could probably tank this Phoenix up. They can definitely take that down and just finish up the game here. Last man standing for Bipolar. Will he be able to survive?
It's like no. It down. DSI comes up from Sun Touch, and this could be the push into the base. They're going to look for that left side Phoenix, find any way to expose that Minotaur. And if they can get in there, do they have the damage? Is the question. They have an Apollo. This could very well be GG in favor of SK.
That's what happens from a little bit of hesitation. I mean, they took so long to finish the game, and they had such a lead for the entirety of the game, and yet it looks like they're going to lose here because of that one choice to go for Fire Giant instead of just going straight for the victory. Maybe they could have just pushed down that Phoenix, pushed for the win a little bit earlier on before going for that first Fire Giant. And SK, got to give them credit, they didn't give up. They're going to be able to pull out the victory, and they're going to be 2-0 right now in the round robin stage.
Yeah, a series of the stranger choices, right, of going for those Gold Furies, not going for those Fire Giant side fights. You know, it ends up costing them the game, I feel like, for Bipolar Method. You can see the relief and excitement on the gentlemen of SK there as they give each other the hugs, and you know, they really, really came together to pull that one out.
Now kiss.
Yes.
Sorry, that's what I was thinking the whole time right now. But yeah, I mean, they have to be so excited about that win. I mean, it took 52 minutes and 54 seconds, but to be able to hold your concentration that long throughout the game, to be able to pull it out at the end, they've got to feel amazing.
Yeah, that was a hell of a game there. And SK ekes it out to go on as the only undefeated team in the group stage so far. They will go 2-0 now. So, you know, tale of that game, once again, was just those objective choices. They took the fight at the Gold Fury when it probably was inadvisable.
I think they got a little bit lucky in that because they lost the first Fire Giant. They almost lost, or they did lose the second one, but they had a favorable fight.
That's right. And, you know, they shut down Sayo through basically the entire back half of that game on the Thor. He was a non-factor almost. And they did a really nice job of that. That means that they were playing really, really tight as a team. They weren't having anyone exposed in the back lines. You know, they weren't, you know, it wasn't even like Thor was able to consistently even keep the Lobster Agni out of the game. I mean, Lobster ends up going 6-3 and putting out, you know, what is this, 19,000 player damage? But, no, I'm sorry, 123,000 player damage, which is a pretty amount, actually. He's quite a bit in the head, but not to be outdone by, no, I'm sorry, that was
123,000 player damage. I'm about to say that's
33K.
That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, okay, that was creep damage. I'm sorry, I misread it there. 33,000 player damage coming out from the Agni. Of course, that's going to top the game, as we generally see from that pick, and that's why we usually see him actually banned out, especially against Bipolar Method, but it just wasn't enough to find the victory.
And the thing was, to me, there was no real stand-up player in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, just looking across the scores, 5-3-8 Apollo, 3-5-12 Bacchus, you had a 3-6-11 Thor. I mean, there was no one person in the game that had such an amazing score. I think the best one was HiRock, who was 9-4-10.
Yeah, I mean, HiRock played a very, very solid game there on
and considering he got shut down so early on. Remember, he had to back at level 1 when he was attacking the jungle camp because he got so low.
He was level 2 when I believe Thor would hit level 5, and yeah, you see SK continuing to celebrate on the stage. They're really happy with that victory, and all credit is due to them. They played an amazing game. I mean, I think if you point at maybe Sun Touch as a really strong player in that game, he picked up a couple kills onto Lobster Agni in that solo lane, which, you know, maybe helped them kind of spring him forward with all of his damage. We're going to take a look here now at the standings. As you can see, we have 2 more games remaining in the group stage. It's going to be COG EU versus SK, followed by Bipolar versus Vengeance. And so far, SK is the only team to come out unscathed with a 2-0 standing.
But they've got a tough team to beat up next. I mean, Bipolar was a very strong team right there. COG, we saw them have a very iffy game number 1 earlier on, and then they had a fantastic game number 2 against Vengeance. And right now, SK, I mean, after that win, like the morale of the team, you got to be a little bit tired, a little bit exhausted from that long of a match, but you've got to feel good. You have to have like a team high right now going off of that, especially when you were losing for such a long time in that game. Yeah,
I think they're pretty excited here. We're going to be joined briefly by our CEO, who wants to come say hi to everybody. That of course is the one and only Mr. Erez Gorn, the CEO of Hi-Rez Studios. But quickly to summarize, yeah, I mean, cognitive gaming is, you know, will that kind of lock down Athena Hunbots with that Zeus style, those more, I would say, shenanigans plays where they're really looking for this very specific style of play where they want to get the specific combo of ultimates and abilities used. Will that pan out against a team as tightly, or that's playing as tightly as SK? Well, that remains to be seen. We're going to throw it back to the stage now, ladies and gentlemen. For Jason Kaplan, my name is HiRezBart, and we will see you guys all for our next game coming up shortly. Be sure to stick around and enjoy the player interviews.
What an incredible game, ladies and gentlemen. SK Gaming and Bipolar Method, that one went over 50 minutes, was such a tight game as well. And it's funny, when in Smite, your games get to such a critical mass where you're both, both teams are all level 20, you've all got your items out, and just one mistake to be made by either team can cost them the game. I'm here with Sayo as well, captain of SK Gaming, and that gave me on Thor. Now, you started off well early on. You hit level 5, you went straight for the gank. And then, you sort of fell off a little bit. You weren't able to make as much of an impact around the map. What happened there?
The problem was that I misbought Creeping Curse basically, and I didn't have anything to get out of Unbats. And this was basically catching me all the time, over and over again. And this basically just made me useless or like not that good at mid game. And so yeah, this is what held us back a bit and not snowballing the early game.
Okay, we saw. Obviously, Smek got caught out at one point and got jumped on by Hyrock, and Bipolar Method went for that Fire Giant after they won the team fight instead of going for the Phoenix. Do you think, do you think that was wise? I mean, on them, not to take anything away from them, but they had won that team fight 4-for-1, and they went for the Fire Giant instead of potentially pushing it and taking out. They did go for the Phoenix after, but would they have had enough time to go and win? And would you have done the same thing?
I don't know, like it's always risky because when the people actually respawn, and in this game the Minotaur, he hits back, so it's like risky and you kind of get low. So I guess they just wanted to play it safe, and with that, like they just played it safe and went for Fire Giant after this.
So obviously now that's 2 wins and 0 losses for you guys so far. Looking very, very strong. Obviously you're up next as well against Cognitive EU on this side. What's the feeling amongst the guys? I know you guys were really elated by that when you were in the finals, so that's exciting now. So, do you take your foot off the pedal a bit? Do you try and relax and ease off the stress, or do you just keep trying to push through?
Oh, like after the game now, we are relaxed again, hopefully. We will focus on the next game. We're pretty confident actually after this win because we feared BM the most this tournament, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. We are 2-0 right now. We have a pretty good spot already, so yeah, we'll just see how it goes and play our game.
All right, thank you very much, Sayo from SK Gaming. SK will be up next against Cognitive EU on this side of the stage. We'll be back in just a moment here at the ESL CM Storm Arena here at Gamescom 2013. Don't go too far. We've got